Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Stephen here after yesterday's disappointing 3-all draw against Spurs. It wasn't good, was it? It wasn't happy. It was frustrating. I don't know how you all feel today. I've slept on it a little bit, of course, and I feel a little bit more relaxed. I think I do in general. Not that I have the answer or the solutions, but I think the emotion has left from me now a little bit. So I'm a little bit calm. I can talk a little bit about where we're at. And ultimately, I do think the situation is solvable. I saw a comment in the chat immediately from Joe saying we're here every season. It's true. We need to. I'm going to get all the caveats because all the next 5 things I'm going to talk about are vaguely negative. I'm sorry, and we do need to have a little bit of a post-mortem. We do, unfortunately, and simply because Guardiola will be doing the same. It's not against us to do that. You know, we are allowed to talk quite frankly about what's happening because the only way you fix things is by being frank and open about the problems in front of you. And we can't pretend like there are no problems. That doesn't mean they won't be fixed and solved. I do trust Pep and the team to be focused on that and get it done. But right now there are problems. So you think, well, what is Pep looking at? And where's it going wrong? What have we learned about this City side? All the usual kind of things. Honestly, my genuine situation, if you want to know where I'm at right now, I'm not at panic stations because I do think we have been here before. We have been here before. Like City, every year we're written off. It could be that one year it's just too much. I admit that we can't just presume every year we will get better, it will be fixed it, and all the problems will be solved. It could be just one step, a tiny bit more, a tiny bit too far, for us to overcome this season without certain players. But it might not be. But it's still, let's be honest and open about this game and talk about it. Thank you to everyone joining in, by the way. Over 40 people watching already. Hello to Sean, Panit, Michael, Joe, Daniel, Pascal in the chat. As always, please do hit the like on the video. I know that the topic isn't the most positive, but it does help support the channel. And, times are hard right now. And it helps keep the lights on in this very house. I guarantee it does. So if you want to help support an honest, lifelong Manchester City fan, please subscribe to the channel. Please consider supporting it in any way you can. It is always massively appreciated. Thank you very much. Let's get the subscribers up as well. It would be appreciated because I've stagnated for a while in subscribers, so let's get our subscribers up. It'd be good to do that. So, caveats aside, I am not going to talk about the refereeing. I don't think we need to talk about the refs. I think that the time to talk about the refs is sort of past. I think that was last night, in my personal opinion. We talked about the refs last night. Now we look at ourselves. We hold up a mirror to our own form. The ref absolutely could have affected the outcome of the game, but it wouldn't have affected the performance. Like, if that makes sense. I don't think the ref changes the performance. He changes the result, but not the performance. And the performance, to me, is the bigger concern than the ref's call. We are used to refs making bad calls, but we should have killed that game off anyway. It's mad now. When you play a team, you also have to play the ref. Don't give a team a chance to score a goal. Don't give a ref a chance to make a bad decision. That's the thing for me, and that's where I'm at. So I'm not going to dive into the refs any more than that, because I feel like we gave the ref a chance to mess it up for us, and we gave Spurs a chance to get back level. So in my opinion, I'm done with talking about the ref for this context of this game. So let's talk about Manchester City Football Club. Let's ask the big questions. And the first question I want to talk about is it's time for a change. What I mean by that is it's time to sort of mix things up in terms of the personnel, time to mix things up about how we're approaching the game. Maybe it's time for less changes. We're seeing a lot of players move around an awful lot. It's time to try something slightly different right now with the personnel and the way that we're approaching games, because it is a little bit all over the show right now. I do go into more detail in the following points about the specific problems, but I do feel right now, look, we're at a situation where we can see that things need to sort of shift a little bit, in terms of how we're playing. We are far too open. We are conceding far too many chances. And we are coming quite easy to play against, I would say. I do think Pep needs to shake up a little bit. I think he needs to shake things up a little bit. I have fundamental trust in all the players that are involved in the game yesterday, but I do think the way that they're approaching it right now isn't necessarily working, and I think Pep will know that. It feels to me, a shake-up of some kind is needed. Not that I don't trust these players and they should all be dropped, but there's little things like, the change could be less changes. The thing is, for me, is like, I thought Bernardo was so brilliantly effective against Liverpool when he played on the left side of the 8. And in this game, Alvarez played on the left, and on the right was Bernardo Silva. You had a left footer and a left footer on the right hand side with Foden and Bernardo Silva, and you had Alvarez and Doku over on the left hand side. And I thought Doku, as a result, was really, really isolated in the time that he was on the pitch. I felt like Doku, he's not as effective when he hasn't got someone overlapping him like Bernardo was against Liverpool. It was really effective, that approach. So why did we change that up? Like maybe we need to just simplify little things. Maybe that's what the change is, that we need to simplify things a tiny bit. Alvarez was actually on the left as a left centre midfielder yesterday, which is not his role at all for what it's worth. He's more on the right usually. And one thing is I've noticed, is that Pep is shifting players around an awful lot and asking slightly different roles. To the untrained eye, like mine for what it's worth, and I include myself in that, you just see Alvarez as attacking midfielder, think he's playing the same role. Having read about tactics articles and so on after the game and looked at the game in a little bit more detail, it's really obvious that Alvarez was doing a different role to what he was doing against Liverpool and Chelsea. He was on the left side, he's on the right side, and that just changed the dynamic. And what we usually do is we'll usually have a right footer supported by left footer and left footer supported by right footer. So think of if you think of like Bernardo and Alvarez. So, for example, when you got Alvarez on the right-hand side of the 2-8s, Foden's on the left, so Alvarez can go round him if he needs be, or he can take that shot, or Bernardo can go around Doku, but you can't do that when they're both right footers and both left footers. It just doesn't work as well. So I think we need to sort of change our approach up to these games because it isn't working right now. The second thing I want to talk about is we lack midfield control. It isn't entirely on this guy here. I mean, I can assure you right now, I am not trying to dig Julian Alvarez out. Please do not take this out of context. Please do not take this as Julian Alvarez as the problem. He's just sort of symbolic for this situation right now. I think Alvarez is a very good footballer, and I think he's doing a wonderful job in an unfamiliar role, and he's been a bright spark in this season so far. But I think he is sort of symbolic of the lack of control right now because his game isn't about control. His game is about going for it and trying to create chances at all costs. And you can talk about maybe Alvarez being similar to KDB in that instance, but I think it's fair to say KDB is a much more natural midfield than Alvarez. He has better spatial awareness of those around him. He has better 360 vision. He has better touch, and he's also just a better player in terms of like being more dangerous when he's on the ball. And as much as I love Alvarez would not be an issue if he was surrounded by players who exuded control and confidence. If you're surrounded by like Bernardo and Stones and Rodri and Kovacic or whatever, I think you'd be fine. But what we're getting right now often is we're getting him at the pivot, the head of our attacking midfield, and Rodri's sort of trying to man the whole midfield, where Bernardo's sort of playing as an 8, but overlapping a little bit with one of the wingers, either on the left or right. And to me, I feel like it's a little bit just a bit too open. Like Akanji, for all his efforts, does not have the nuance, say, of a John Stones. He's not as confident in the ball. John Stones, like Akanji, does a really nice job recycling possession, but he doesn't do what John Stones does, where he receives the ball in tight spaces and drift past the player, open up the pitch a little bit more. He's not quite smart with his passing as John Stones. So I would say, when you look about where Man City were last season, for me, we are not right at the level now in terms of like nowhere near the level of last season, in terms of centrally. So last season we'd have the central midfield roles would be Rodri, Stones, Gundogan, De Bruyne, and Bernardo occasionally come central too. Now we've got Rodri and Akanji. That's a drop off there, Akanji to Stones. Now Bernardo is playing a little bit more central every now and then, but Bernardo is not as good at the whole pauser thing as Gundogan was. So we're losing Gundogan's control, and Alvarez is not as good a midfielder or a good as player as Kevin De Bruyne. So we've lost sort of effectively 3 players right now. No De Bruyne, no Gundogan, no Stones. Obviously, Gundogan's gone full stop. But I do think we need to find a way to find that control again. I don't think it's Doku's fault. People will say, we just need to play Jack Grealish and we'll have control. No. The problem is way more central than that. I think what we need desperately is we need... Bernardo Silva is definitely not better at the pause than Gundogan. I'm sorry, Gundogan was David Silva-esque that way. Gundogan was ridiculously smart at that. I love that. I love Bernardo Silva, but he was not quite as good as Gundogan, in my personal opinion. For what it's worth, like, I think Bernardo Silva works fine alongside Rodri if Stones is there too. But I do think we need Stones back. I hand on heart believe if Stones comes back in the team and then we have De Bruyne, then you have Rodri, Stones, De Bruyne. Any one of the others, be it Kovacic, Bernardo, Alvarez, I think you're probably fine. Or even Foden or whatever. But I think right now, it's just too much to have. Those those two missing on top of Gundogan who's left in terms of Stones and De Bruyne. We lack control, and I suspect Pep will sort of try and rectify this. And the problem with lack of control is in my opinion, it affects our defence. I think we're too open. Like, the ball goes through our midfield so quickly, and the ball comes back so quickly that we're not set, and teams are countering against us, which leads to the next problem. We are very easy to score against right now. The annoying thing is, Spurs are really clinical and we just weren't. Like, you look at the quality of their finishes, like their expected goals. I know some people don't care about those stats, but don't be scared of those stats. Those stats are just a probability measure of how likely someone is to score from that position. It doesn't mean they should score. It's just a general measure of, and it's not 1 billion% accurate, I'm sure, but it's a decent measure. It's a decent metric. And their XG was like 0.5, so they barely had one, like, they barely touched one goal in terms of like the quality of the chances. But they look at the finishes, like to score from that counter from the corner, ridiculous. From that angle as well, that was Edison, and to score from long range to Celso, it's a great finish. It's ridiculous. That header as well, that is not an easy goal to score. But the problem is, we're easy to score against because I think mentally, teams just aren't scared of us right now. I think we give them opportunities to feel confident. We give them opportunities to break forward, and not fear us. And I think that's the issue that we've got. If you've got a midfield that has no control and feels quite open, teams will counter against you. And I think a lot of football is about confidence and mentality. Teams know they will get a chance against Man City right now. And I think that emboldens them to the point where they're more likely to score. They know we'll be wasteful as well, which is a point I'm going to talk about in a minute. So we know we'll be wasteful. They know that we are open on the attack. And I think teams are just... You watch teams score against us with barely any quality chances. They do it all the time. Why? I think we're just not hard to play against right now. For whatever reason, in the big moments, I think there's a feeling that teams will get a chance, and that's what we're sensing, and I think we're easy to score against. I don't think it's a specific defender issue, though. Some defenders haven't had a great time recently. I think it's more a collective issue. I think the midfield is open. Some players have made mistakes, of course, but I think we need to shut down and batten down those hatches in the centre of the park because it's just too easy right now. And we're also wasting big chances. Look, we can't deny that. Clinical teams win tournaments, you know. We've never been the most clinical team, but right now, Erling Haaland is not doing particularly well. He's sort of wasting chances every now and then. Like, look, I love Erling Haaland. I'm not going to dig out Erling Haaland, but he's got this weird habit right now of scoring the hard chances, missing the easy ones. And when we get so angry after the game, and Erling's got every right to be angry after the game because it's frustrating, I sometimes wish we were just as angry at ourselves for missing those chances. And we probably are, for what it's worth. So maybe being a bit disingenuous there. Because we only know barely 1% of what happens in the dressing room. We don't know even that, really. So I'm sure that they are pointing fingers at each other as well in terms of frustration for chances misses. But we can't waste these chances. Sometimes you just have to put the ball in the back of the net. Because if you waste these chances and you're easy to score against, you are not going to win trophies. You are not going to be good enough. Look, I'm not even asking you to score all the chances. Just... don't miss the big ones twice is all I will say. And this City side are wasteful and comical. And it's a really bad combination right now. Like, I love this City side. We are treble winners and things are very, very rosy. But we need to be aware of our own weaknesses. And I know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like, how do you tell someone to finish better? Like, it's annoying. I don't know how to coach that. I'm not a coach, and a lot of it is confidence. But maybe, once again, it's confidence. Maybe it feeds into the team not feeling, whatever reason, 100% right now. Maybe the lack of De Bruyne is not helping there. But we do need to take our chances because it is frustrating. And finally, there are depth concerns again. We've learned that this City side is going to face an interesting night on Wednesday against Aston Villa. It is Wednesday, by the way, so it's only like literally tomorrow we'll be getting ready for the game, you know, again, which is crazy. But we've got no Rodri, no Jack Grealish, and probably no Jeremy Doku as well for the Villa game, which all of a sudden leaves a very... That means we'll have no Doku, no Grealish, no Rodri, probably no... Well, definitely no De Bruyne, maybe no Stones. Like, it's... I don't know if Stones will play, but all of a sudden the depth issues are a concern again. Nunes might be back available. Kovacic could be available, I don't know. But... things are dropping a little bit like now. Players are dropping like flies, and we only have a small squad. I mean, I'm trying to think about how we'll play. Try some form of lineup against Villa, but it's not looking good, man. Like it could be more dropped points in a row here. Like I'll jump over to the I'll bring the team up on screen and work out how we can do it right now. But our defensive issues are there. They are there. I mean, here we go against Villa. I mean, we might see something like this where it'll be maybe Haaland up top. This Foden might have to play on the left, I reckon, over here. No Rodri. I think we're gonna have to play Stones, but that's a risk because Stones is injured right now. I think it'll be Kanji alongside him as we play that defensive thing that we always do. I think we'll see probably Rico Lewis here. Do we play Silva on the right? It could be Oscar Bob, maybe. And maybe we play Kovacic. Like, all of a sudden, things are starting to look really kind of sketchy. Alvarez could play, actually. It could be that Lewis plays here. Alvarez plays here. Like, it'll be sort of like this, I reckon. Maybe it's... Oh, sorry, I put him in twice, actually. No, sorry, that would be Kovacic. I think it might be something like this. I mean, it's starting to look like there's a real weakness there. Maybe then we'll see. I don't know. And then obviously the defenders, like, we haven't got many options. Nunez could come on, but we haven't got much at all. It could be a Kovacic plays alongside Stones, or Lewis goes up here as well, something like that. But but then Stones might not play if he's not fit enough. So in that instance, is it Kovacic and a Kanji goes here again? I mean, it looks weak, doesn't it? It's not looking good. I mean, we might have a choice but to put a Kanji there. We haven't got anyone else. It could be that Nunez plays, but Nunez is not fit fully right now. Like, right now, the depth issues are real, and we have to face that up. Like, we've got depth concerns. We really desperately need De Bruyne back and Stones back, because I think like our season sort of lies on that. Do we have to go to the market in January? I don't know, but I don't think it's an unfair question to ask that right now, because Calvin Phillips is probably going to go. I think that's almost certain going to be an issue. I think he will go. I think Calvin Phillips will go in January. So they're also doing one member down. We've already got then like Gomez and Bob and whatever. It's just not much. It's not much, man. It's not much right now, and like things feel tough. I do trust this City side as always, but we have to be very honest about what we've got in front of us right now. And look, to go through the points again, I think it's time for a change of tact, a change of approach, be it calmer, be it more considered, be it more aggressive, be more assertive. Just kill the games off. I would take a scruffy 1-0 win, right now. I'd love it more than anything, because conceding goals, and we do lack midfield control. Alvarez isn't the problem, but he's sort of a guy, he's sort of taking the sacrifice for the team on that front, because we are easy to score against. We were wasting big chances, and we have concerns in further depth. I know that sounds like a lot of negativity, guys, but I'm still reasonably confident that things will be fine. We're not in a terrible position. The table, it doesn't look that bad, We are only 3 points off the top, and we played a lot of big teams already as well, for what it's worth. It could be worse. I mean, we should be probably clear at the top. That's the thing. But we should be okay, hopefully, with a little bit of luck. But the time for introspection is now. Guys, that is 5 things that I took from that game last night. It isn't ideal, but we should be all right. We should be okay. Thanks for watching this. Please like, subscribe, let me know how you're feeling. What's your mood on the season? What's your take on the season? In a bit, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.